Hey everyone, it's Elizabeth Voss, Editor-in-Chief of Disobedient Media. I'm here to read you an article we published earlier today titled Facebook Cracks Down on Independent Media Under a Guise of Enhancing Relationships. Today is the 30th of January 2018, and I will just get right into it. Quote, no, we're not quoting. The article begins, "Nothing could have exemplified the establishment's use of Orwellian newspeak more than Facebook's latest move to censor independent thought under the pretense of caring about the emotional well-being of the masses. The media giant has been documented live streaming murders, suicides, rapes, and abuse. Despite this, the New York Post reported that Facebook officially stated they were, quote, unable to stop live streaming suicides. But trust them, they care about your mental health, and that's why they don't want you to read certain news stories." A recent press report on the matter stated, quote, "Facebook said it's changing the formula that determines users' news feeds by decreasing business and media posts and focusing more on personal connections. However, in reality, the changes seem to have been used specifically to target anti-establishment news sources. Though Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg enthused regarding the changes, the company's shareholders appeared less impressed. According to CNBC, Facebook shares fell by 4% the morning after Zuckerberg's announcement of the new policy. During the first day following the announcement, stocks fell by 6.1%, which was reported to have amounted to $3.3 billion of losses. Despite this, Zuckerberg appeared totally unfazed by the price drop, openly admitting that the changes would lead to an overall decline in user engagement. The Guardian's coverage of the news not only chided Zuckerberg for not having made the move earlier, but also directly identified the core of the real impetus behind the changes, which had nothing to do with bringing you closer to your family. The Guardian's writing on the issue reveals that the real reason behind the changes is active censorship of what the legacy press outlets deem to be fake news that allegedly interfered with the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. Such misinformation, The Guardian may as well have admonished, is dangerous and liable to transform users into drooling zombies with no control over their actions whatsoever. The Guardian's coverage of the matter encouraged censorship of independent media under the banner of fake news, or in other words, anything that other than government-approved propaganda. It also appeared to be a beautiful teaching moment on the value of projection. As reported by legacy media, Facebook has come under fire in recent months for allegedly allowing Russians to attempt to influence the 2016 presidential election through Facebook ads. Disobedient Media has previously addressed the multiple reasons that this line of argument is completely and patently ridiculous and provides yet another pretext to clamp down on non-corporate media sources. Although this author and many other independent journalists have been subjected to various methods and degrees of censorship over the last year, Zuckerberg's Facebook overhaul has gone far beyond what many in the anti-establishment press could have anticipated. In addition to these issues regarding the coverage of the changes as it stands, a number of non-corporate media outlets, including Disobedient Media, have experienced drastic changes in reach on Facebook's platform, and with Caitlin Johnstone addressing the matter recently via Twitter. And then in the article, I have the quote of her tweet, and which says, Facebook has cranked up the censorship. Posts of my Facebook page are getting far less visibility than they were a few days ago as well. And in that tweet, if you click on the tweet, she's quoting a tweet that I had made about the issue, and I'll go into that a little bit later in the article. But Johnstone spoke with Disobedient Media, relating to us that, quote, "Medium has a statistics feature which lets you see where your views are coming from. Around a week or so ago, the Facebook numbers suddenly plummeted from thousands per article, often tens of thousands, to a few hundred per article. Facebook also has a feature which lets you see the reach of your Facebook page, and those numbers were slashed to somewhere between a third and a quarter of where they used to sit. Just looking at the numbers, it appears that both my page and individual independent shares of my articles are getting less visibility all of a sudden." And I want to step out of the article for 1 second to explain what she's saying there, because as somebody who posts content on Facebook, like as an independent news source, I understand what she's saying, but I want to make sure the readers and the audience does. What that means is that Facebook is limiting the reach of the content that we individually post. So if I post an article on Disobedient Media's Facebook page, then it is slashing the amount of people that will see that directly from my page. But what Caitlin is also pointing out, in addition to that, is that when readers share from her page or share her articles, that Facebook is equally slashing the reach of those shares. So it's a step beyond just targeting Caitlyn's own page and censoring that. They are also censoring the shares from her page. I hope that makes sense to readers. If it doesn't, let me know. But I wanted to underscore the importance of that. That's a whole other like there are two different levels being described there. One is the page itself, and then the further level of censorship is the censorship of the readers who have shared it. So sorry to have that little rant explaining that, but I think it's important. So anyway, Mint Press News also wrote regarding Facebook's crackdown, specifically in relation to Latin American news outlet Telesur English. They wrote, quote, Facebook periodically tweaks its algorithm in ways that severely reduce the prominence of alternative media content on news feeds, forcing admins to pay for sponsored posts in order to reach audiences. And that is definitely something I've seen as well. So they're draining the people they're censoring of money in order to just overcome the censorship. This is not the first time anti-establishment voices have faced severe and arbitrary censorship on large platforms. Disobedient Media previously reported on Google and YouTube censorship across the political spectrum, specifically in terms of an antitrust suit brought against Google by social media company Gab. At that time, tremendous numbers of YouTube content providers and anti-establishment websites were hit with strangled traffic and also demonetization of thousands of videos deemed to be inappropriate for some unknown reason. Additionally, Disobedient Media reported in November last year that Twitter admitted to having censored 48% of tweets using the DNC leak hashtag and 25% of tweets using the Podesta emails hashtag. Absolutely incredible. And at the time when they admitted it, they weren't admitting it under duress. They were actually bragging about it because they were trying to explain that they hadn't, helped the Russians hack the election and ridiculousness along that line. As Mint Press News wisely observed, citing the sentiments of John Pilger in regards to the corruption of corporate media, quote, CNN and NBC and the rest of the networks have been the voices of power and have been the source of distorted news for such a long time. They are not circling the wagons because the wagons are on the wrong side. These people in the mainstream have been an extension of the power that has corrupted so much of our body politic. They have been the source of so many myths. And then after that quote, I have a tweet embedded from Lee Camp that reads, in case anyone wants to know how Facebook suppresses my work, I have 330,000 followers, but they've stopped showing my posts to many people. I used to gain 6,000 followers a week. I now gain 500. And my Facebook unsubscribes people without their knowledge, so my total number never increases. Lee Camp discussed this crackdown, saying that his Facebook page has been limited and previous subscribers are being removed without their knowledge. And he alluded to similar tactics being used on YouTube from YouTube and Google. As I said earlier, Disobedient Media previously reported that. But again, I've got to stop and step out of the article because as I was writing this, I just wrote it as a fact. But I realize now that readers, viewers, people listening may not really understand what he's saying in terms of the additional level of censorship that it represents. So what I'm saying is that when I just a minute ago discussed how Caitlin Johnstone is describing two levels of censorship on her page and then also on the people that share her content, Lee Camp is describing another level of Facebook censorship, which is not even, it doesn't just stop at the content, it's actually attacking his subscribers. So he's limited at 330,000, and if 5,000 people subscribe to him, then another 5,000 subscribers are removed to keep the number stable. And that is so horrific. Like, if this happened to a quote real news outlet, they would be up in arms about it. But instead, we get this weird, bizarre line about protecting our mental health, and Facebook can't even stop you live streaming suicide. How is it going to protect your mental health by not allowing you to read independent news? It just, the fact that they could even try to get this line out with a straight face just absolutely is just mind-boggling to me. Anyway, I'll prevent myself going on a complete rant. But the article continues. Though challenges created by escalating censorship are frighteningly real, the age of independent media is not at an end. As Susie Dawson noted, an increasing number of anti-establishment voices are diversifying the platforms on which they post content. And one of the big platforms that a lot of independent media, including myself, are drifting towards is Steemit. And Steemit is an amazing platform, and I'm not sponsored by them at all. I just have created an account there recently, but the reason I'm enthusing about it is not just because it lacks the censorship that Facebook has, but also because it protects your work in blockchain. So let's say tomorrow, as a hypothetical, if Facebook were to be taken down, if Disobedient Media were to be taken offline, then what Steemit does is it preserves the content. When I post an article on Steemit, the content is preserved in blockchain, and it's protected from normal types of censorship. And I really appreciate that as somebody who is experiencing censorship of my content, and and for other independent journalists who maybe have their work taken down, marked as spam by Facebook, to have a platform available that not only allows you to post freely, but also protects your work, I think is fantastic. So that's enough of my rant on that. But the challenges created by escalating censorship are frighteningly real. Oh yeah, I just read that, sorry. Essentially, one hopes that even as Facebook admits it will push users away through the implementation of their latest draconian policies, the news which is most dangerous to the plutocratic class will not be silenced. Instead of being cut down, we will spread to every platform that exists outside of the establishment's reach, embodied by the archetype of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I couldn't resist. I put the 8-second clip of Obi-Wan Kenobi telling Darth Vader that if he kills Obi-Wan, that he will become more powerful than he could ever imagine. So I thought that was a great little archetype for what's going on right now. And the article continues, diversifying platforms where anti-establishment journalists share content has been the new method by which non-corporate journalists have responded to the tightening chokehold of censorship. Susie Dawson, Caitlin Johnstone, Lee Camp, AJ Goodman, and myself are just a few examples of the independent news sources flocking to Steemit, often specifically in response, especially recently, to Facebook crackdowns imposed under the guise of enhancing mental health. In his inaugural Steemit post, Lee Camp wrote that the primary instigation for joining the platform was Facebook censorship, and he wrote, "Finally reached my breaking point with Facebook. Well, in fact, I've been exploring other platforms for a while now, but I recently did a video on the extreme censorship of anti-establishment voices like myself have been receiving on Facebook, and they responded by pulling it down and telling people it looked like spam, so I guess that they proved my point." The title of Caitlin Johnstone's first post on Steemit also featured Facebook's newest wave of censorship, relating, quote, "Facebook is throttling my articles, so it's time to diversify platforms. Hi, Steemit. Like Camp and Johnstone, I have experienced Facebook's temporary block in response to posting Disobedient Media's content. And I've embedded a tweet which Caitlin Johnstone quoted in the tweet above of her experience with Facebook. But the reason I embedded that tweet is not just because of the censorship that we have experienced at Disobedient Media, but also because that tweet has a screenshot of the action blocked, you can't do that notification that you get from Facebook when they censor you. So I thought it would be cool if you guys could see what that looks like. And then I continued, Steemit is not the only platform seeing a large number of anti-establishment pundits joining their ranks, with others including Minds.com. The key message to take away from these developments is that free-thinking individuals suppressed by social media giants are reacting by posting their content on multiple new platforms, which will hopefully, as Susie Dawson wrote, encourage Facebook and its ilk to go the way of the dinosaurs. As I recently discussed with the fantastic Graham Elwood, there are ways that individual readers of quality anti-establishment media can support writers, pundits, and the like, and fight censorship. If one has easy access to cash, then donating a single dollar to your favorite independent media outlet or pundit on Patreon can make an enormous difference to their viability. If that is not possible, supporters can still make a seismic impact and fight corporate censorship by actively sharing articles, videos, and content across a variety of social media platforms. As I told Elwood in a recent interview, a retweet while on the bus to work may not feel like much, but it is a massive fist shoved in the face of the establishment every single time that it happens. We do have power in this situation. All we have to do is see it and seize it. And then in the article, I have the clip embedded of me speaking with Elwood about how people can fight censorship and help support independent media. And somebody asked me why I used only $1 and not more. And the reason was I assumed that most people have a limited amount of money at their disposal. And I felt that it's more important to spread that money between independent journalists, in my opinion. So if you have $10 and there are 10 independent journalists that you really like, I think it's more helpful to spread that like a $1 per each person than to spend $10 on one person. And I don't know if you guys need that explanation, but that's why I chose that number. And also, I really do also want to emphasize that, you know, part of what I said to Elwood and part of what I'm saying here is that if you're strapped for cash, and a lot of us are, then there is no way that you should feel at all guilty about that. And the thing is that, just as I said, just by sharing, by liking, by retweeting, by subscribing on YouTube, liking videos, that is an empowering action that makes a real difference for independent journalists and for the reach that they have. And when people do that, just something as simple as liking on Facebook, as liking on YouTube, or retweeting, those things they embody the ground troops of our fight against the establishment. Without you all doing that, we would get nowhere and we would be nothing. So I've ranted more than I intend to on these types of videos, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who watches these clips, and thank you to everybody who reads Disobedient Media's articles. And you can find me at Elizabeth, Leavos, on Twitter. You can find Disobedient Media at Disobedient News on Twitter. Please visit our website, disobedientmedia.com. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, awesome day, and I will speak to you again later. Thank you so much.